Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Hello, and welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. I want to talk about what that phrase actually means for just a little bit. And also, I've been gone for a while. And thank you for listening to older episodes while I traveled. I went to Ireland for about 3 weeks. I taught a retreat. Thank you so much for everyone who came. It was a blast. We stayed in this magnificent hotel outside of Dublin and worked. We did wonderful work together. And then I traveled. My friend Julie flew over and we hung out on the west coast of Ireland. It was amazing. So thank you again for listening to all the older recording podcasts. And I'm delighted and happy to be back to offer you a brand new podcast. And I wanted to talk about the name of the podcast, Where Energy Meets the Divine. So when I think of the divine, I think of creation, the universe, cosmos, God, Buddha, whatever words inspire you in that higher vibrational capacity of the universe. And then energy. So what happens is when humans elevate their energy, which is usually what I'm talking about on the podcast, I'm asking everyone to please elevate your energy, expand your energy, which can happen in many ways. Falling in love with yourself, seeing the beauty in all things, doing things that make you happy. I mean, it's actually not in your best interest to do things that don't make you happy. I had always wanted to go to Ireland, and I knew a lot of people who had been there who actually didn't like it, only because it rains. It's Ireland, it rains. I obviously live in a climate area where there's rain. Not in the summer anymore. Like it was 84 degrees again in the Northwest. All of our lawns are yellow, pretty much, because it's so hot. But even people that I knew when I was quite close to were like, you're not going to like Ireland. But I had a feeling about it, like a joyful, happy feeling. I've been twice. Love it. I mean, I could live in Ireland if I didn't have children or grandchildren that lived in a different continent. I would, seriously consider it. But I can always visit again and again and again. So you have to do these things. You have to focus your energy. You got to focus your mind to connect to your energy so that you can connect to the divine by raising your frequency and your vibration. And then you have the capacity to be intuitive. Everyone has natural intuition that is meant at the very least for their own personal life, their own health and wellness and awareness and consciousness. And that intuition could spill onto others. It could be that you're very intuitive for your family or friends, or perhaps you're intuitive for the human race. So that's why we have that phrase in the title, where energy and divine meet, because we want to bring that together. We want to raise our vibrations so we can meet the divine and have magical experiences, which you all deserve every single day. Like you don't have to fly 8.5 hours to Ireland and go to this adorable town called Dingle. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. And that's what people say. And it really is. It's quite stunning. And take a 3-hour tour around this peninsula so that you can see how beautiful things are. So you can raise your vibration. So of course, that's one way to raise your vibration. But we can't always fly across the world and have magnificent experiences in other lands. So it is important that we find reasons that allow us to feel authentic happiness so we can raise our vibration and connect to the divine. So that's why that is the title of this podcast, Where Energy and the Divine Meet. Okay. So everybody knows I answer questions on this podcast. I want to give a few instructions so that more people can get their questions answered. If you leave a voicemail and it says something like this, because this is an actual real question, please read the energy of myself and my partner. No other information. I can do that. It's going to take me a lot of time because I don't know if you have a specific question about you and your partner, because there was no other instruction. So I can read a lot about each of you, your childhoods, of course, your current relationship, but that's going to take a lot of time on my part. So I'm not going to answer a question like that. If a person asks a question, read my energy, which I could do, but there's no specific reason why they want me to read their energy, I'm not going to answer that question either. So try to be a little bit more specific, because I would like to get to more questions, and I would love to answer the questions of people who leave a voicemail. I think that's lovely that you do. And of course, you get a free self-hypnosis when you do that. And we truly appreciate it. So today, I'm answering the questions that have a little bit more specific, as I always do. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start listening to questions and start answering them. I hope that everyone who's listening has been enjoying a lovely summer, and that you're hanging out with your family and getting all the rest and playfulness that you possibly can. Okay, here we go.
Hi Marie, how are you doing? It's Vesna here. I'm recording this from Germany, and I would like to ask you about migraines. I'm getting them since I was very little, like 3 or 4 years old. I don't recall my first headache. I just know that I was really little. And since today, I didn't find any solution. And I have this feeling that I really tried like everything. Essential oils and crystals and supplements and EFT technique and guided meditation from Joe Dispenza and reconnective healing and changing my diet, trying carnivore, also doing energy medicine from Donna Eden, also looking into my childhood, if there is any resentment or hate or grief or guilt. And I didn't find anything. Otherwise, I have healthy weight. I go to the gym regularly. I like walking in nature. My sleep is, I wouldn't say great, but it's pretty good. So I would say that I'm pretty healthy, except from this migraines that appear every month around my menstrual cycle.
Right.
And nothing seems to help. I also try to talk to I don't like to say my pain, but yes, I try to talk to this pain and acknowledge it. Thank you for coming. Is there any message you have for me? What can I do for you? How can I help you? And things like that. I also try to thank this pain and say like, you're free to leave this body. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. You're free to go. But until today, I didn't find any really measurable solution. So if you could sense anything, if you could see anything, if you could help, I would really, really appreciate it. And I really appreciate what you do. And thank you again for everything. And have a great day.
Thank you, Vesna. I'm sorry you're having migraine headaches. I think I had one once. I didn't have pain, but I had these weird eyesight vision experiences for about 10 or 15 minutes. And when I talked to my eye doctor about it, he said it was probably migraine. So migraine headaches are about your psychic ability, period. So it means you're very psychic, and it means you don't listen to your psychic ability. So you have this great ability and you don't follow it or you don't listen to it. I also love all the remedies that you've chosen. They're all natural. If it were me and I had done all the things that you've done, I would definitely be taking some modern medicine, not Botox necessarily, because that is a remedy that helps with migraines, but there are medications. So I believe in both forms of medicine. I really do, because I've seen both help people. And sometimes when we just choose one vein of medical intervention, it's not enough. It doesn't help. That can be true for people who choose only modern medicine, like pharmaceuticals or only surgeries. They should also try holistic, especially if that's all they've done, then they definitely should try holistic. So I would be curious about modern medicine and I would try it if you haven't. But what's going to help this, talk to your second chakra. So the second chakra is all about joy, and it's all about the emotional response system. And intuition is connected to your emotions. I'm going to say that again. Intuition is connected to your emotions. That's why your reproductive organs do play a part in migraines, because that second chakra governs reproductive organs, kidneys, adrenal glands, lower back, the appendix, Yeah, the bladder. So I would talk to this and I would ask yourself, as soon as you feel that tinge, or whatever warning signs you have, I would talk to this part of your body and say, please help me to experience joy. Because that's what's happening is you're not experiencing joy prior to the headache coming. And not listening to one's intuition does not lead to a joyful life. Intuitive information always brings joy. It always brings joy. When I was traveling just recently, my friend Julie, who came along, we realized that we would be good vacationers together because we had gone on a girls' weekend to a spa in Palm Desert. And we had to share a bed. There were only two very large beds in this rental that we were using, and there was four of us. So we all, chose who we wanted to hang out with. And Julie and I became roommates, and we just got along great. We've known each other for a very long time, but we hadn't slept in the same bed before. We're like, oh, we could travel together, right? So we could feel how comfortable we were with each other, that nobody was smacking the other person or snoring too loudly or anything like that to disturb their sleep. So you have to be in this feeling aspect. So I know that you feel things, but you feel others. And that's beautiful to be empathetic, but you need to be focused. Focused. Focus is the new word, I think, for the next, I don't know how many years. So helping the brain to focus on what's really necessary. You need to be focused on your joy. I also think it would be great, if you haven't tried this, to take herbs for your hormones. There are all kinds of herbs. We've put them on previous podcasts. I'll make sure that someone on my team puts some more on this particular podcast so that you could try them. If you haven't, you may have already tried them. I mean, you've tried everything else. You've listened to wonderful people who do great work in the world. You've done all the right things from the holistic perspective. But perhaps you had not been told previously that this is about your psychic ability. Like you're ignoring your intuition. You're ignoring it. And it means you're very psychic. And people who have really strong psychic energy, they need to use it. They won't make the best decisions in their life for themselves. I once had a friend who didn't know till she was 40 that she was athletic. She just hadn't done any sports. She started running when she was 40. She did many competitions, and she won all of them in her age group. She would even fly to Bali and swim with leeches and, do all these crazy things, and she would win. So she had no idea that she had this strength in her body, and it made her so happy, and it was so incredibly fulfilling for her. So we all have natural gifts and talents, and one of yours happens to be the psychic ability. That's why you're choosing great practitioners to help you and wonderful remedies, but you're not recognizing that you yourself are psychic, and you need to start listening to yourself. So that means getting away from the brain. The brain needs a lot of space in order to be super healthy. Really a lot of space to be super healthy. So it needs to be quiet. Try resting, even if you want to creatively play with that, putting your energy in the second chakra area and just start talking to yourself and communicating with yourself from that vantage point. Not here. This needs to go night-night, needs to relax. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Angela, and I want to thank you for taking my call, and I appreciate your insight into my situation. I am 67 years old. I will be 68 in January, and I'm thinking about retiring in the early next year, in the next 6 months. I work as a manager in health information management in a hospital. I've been married for 47 years. I have a wonderful husband whom I met when I was 15. I believe I was guided by my angels and told that he was the man for me to marry.
Yeah.
I have 2 children. I've had experiences with angels and guides since I was very young. As a child, I would say about 9. I could see brilliant white light like in a church, and there was distinct energies. I would I call them angels or beings, no form but distinct energies, and it was so much love. And they spoke to me, and I could feel myself, or I saw myself
Hmm.
like leave my body, and I was in the light with them,
Hmm.
and but my body was still in the pew. Um, and it was just an incredible experience. Growing up, my mother and father fought a lot. And I, being the oldest of three girls, I tried to protect my mom and would get beaten myself. And I would write letters to God about the kind of home and husband I wanted to have, just love. And I was guided, I believe, to uh, my husband when I met him when I was 15. We've been married for 47 years. We have worked as hospice volunteers, very fulfilling work for many years. Um, I've always felt empathic, very sensitive. I felt energy throughout my body since I was young. There were times I felt that I could even fly. This was like when I was in college, and at the time also I had an experience with automatic writing,
Mm.
with doing a research paper. It was incredible. I wrote it in ink, perfect the first time, and got an A. I
Yay.
mean, but I could just feel the words come through me to the paper. I mean, it was phenomenal. Um, I want to know, am I headed in the right direction?
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of your podcast. I'm learning about mediumship. Um, how to speak and communicate with the divine and my angels. Um, I appreciate your insight, and I thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, Angela. And obviously, you're going in the right direction. I think your question is, should I continue studying spirituality? Should I explore mediumship or energy medicine? Yes, of course you should. And I would go back to doing automatic writing. I think it can be very helpful and give us a lot of clarity. So the answer is yes. You're moving in the right direction, and we'll be very lucky to have you in the mystical field, however you choose to move in that direction. And our choice comes from following joy. So follow the joy, because that's where the answer is. Always. It's in the joy. Always. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Claudine, and I'm calling from upstate New York. Thank you very much for all that you do. I just found your podcast on YouTube, and I'm absolutely loving it. My question is about dreams, actually. I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I talk in my sleep, and I remember a lot of my dreams when I wake up. Sometimes they can be nightmares, and sometimes they can just be experiences. But fairly recently, I had a dream where I was extremely frustrated in the dream, and it woke me up because I was talking and trying to express my point. And the point, or what I was saying when I woke up, was no, 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 Delphina, Delphina,
Yeah.
Delphina. And when I woke up, I ran to a piece of paper and I wrote down the word, and I put the date on it, and I went back to sleep. And then after I slept more and I woke up for the morning, I looked at the piece of paper and I knew that it was a name. This Delphina word was a name, and it sounded like a name from another language. I only speak English, American English,
All right.
so I have no
Ah,
idea. I've been kind of haunted by this
huh.
Delphina,
Huh.
and I have no idea what it means. I've never heard the word before, and so I'm just curious to know what your thoughts are. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're
Bye.
welcome. Thank you. And Claudine, you gave a perfect example of when we're trying to translate something from the brain, and it doesn't allow us the creative knowledge that we need in order to get an answer, if there indeed is an answer. When it comes to dreams, for most individuals, especially someone like yourself who has a great memory of what you're experiencing, you're doing a lot of psychology, like personal psychology in your sleep. And the frustration feeling that you felt in your dream is showing you that you tend to feel that when you're awake. And the universe is trying to get you to stop feeling frustrated. Because believe it or not, how we feel is critical. In other words, a lot of people create emotions from their mind that are not authentic for them. And frustration is one of them. Most of the time, we're not frustrated. Most of the time, we're not disappointed. Most of the time, we're not unhappy. But we don't know that because that's what our mind has told us. And then we make a decision and we follow the mind as if it's, the Oz, the Wizard of Oz of our life, when it's not. It's a logical tool. That's why you can't get the information that you want from this dream, because you're trying to use your brain. But when you were talking about Delphine, I believe it was, I think you should Google that name. And if it comes up as a flower, if there's a flower that has a similar name, I want you to read about the properties of that flower, because I think that's what the universe is trying to tell you in terms of be in this energy, be in this vibration, be in this frequency. That's what I think that's about. And try not to be haunted. When we get haunted by something, and I know you don't mean the real haunted, but it's like annoying or we're worried, that's your mind again. That is not your intuition. Intuition is calm, compassionate, and kind. So I think the universe is doing everything it can to guide you so that you can focus your energy in more positive frequencies and vibrations. And you don't necessarily want to let go of that yet, but I highly recommend that you focus on a different type of energy. So Google that word. If you find something that's a flower close to the spelling of that word, I would read about it and I would contemplate on it. I would meditate on it. I would talk to myself about it. I would have a conversation with myself about, so I think it's this flower. What do we think about this? Like, start engaging with your cells below your neck, because they're strong and powerful and highly knowledgeable. That's what I think anyway. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Kerrie from Australia. I've spoken to you a few times before, and I absolutely always love your guidance. I was just wondering, I'm really missing my sister who died in 2022, and I was just wondering, is it possible just to get a reading with her and just kind of find out how she's going and just what she kind of thinks about everything that's kind of happened since she passed? She's got 2 children, and just the changes in our family, our family of origin.
Yeah.
I would really, really appreciate that.
Thank you so
much. Okay. Bye.
You're welcome. Kerrie, I think your sister's kind of funny, meaning that when she was in life, her personality would have some humor or funny, could even be slightly dark humor. Because the first thing she says, my family's nuts. And you guys aren't. You have a really good, lovely family. But she said it in this funny way. And it could even have been to mask her own worries that she might have had about leaving her children. She says her family has stepped up to take care of her family. She couldn't be more grateful. She thinks she made an excellent choice and decision that way. And she wants me to remind you that when souls are stepping into a womb, as they're choosing who their parental units will be, they do know if there's going to be a significant death in the family, like the loss of a parent or sibling, or if they spent a lot of time with a grandparent and the grandparent is not elderly and they pass. They know all of this before they incarnate, and they choose that person for that reason. Like, some souls want to experience a type of loss while they're growing in their awareness and their consciousness, because they believe it will assist them and help them. Or it could be that souls are just curious and they want to have an experience that they haven't had before. They haven't had it in a while. She thinks the world's a little cray-cray. She says that she's content on the other side and is again grateful for her family's love for her family. And then she wants me to remind you that nobody's perfect. No one on earth is perfect. And she says letting go of certain family dynamics would be in your best interest. That's what she says. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Nicki. I'm calling from Minnesota. Thank you for all you do. I really love listening to your podcast. I have a quick question about my iron levels. I'm in my mid-40s, and I see both a naturopath and just kind of a general checkup doctor that I see once a year. And the naturopath noticed that my iron levels were really low, almost in the anemic area. I wasn't feeling really many symptoms, so I was surprised to find this out about 1.5 years ago. So I went on Ferrichel iron, if I'm pronouncing that right, for a year, and my iron levels went up, so it responded well to the pills. And then my naturopath said, let's go off the iron to see if my body has kind of learned to absorb iron better.
Yeah.
And for about 3 months, I tried that, and my iron levels dropped again. So now I'm back on the 2 pills a day. It's fine to take those twice a day, but I'm kind of wondering what's going on and why this is happening. So I'm asking if you could please take a look at my aura and my chakras and see if you can see anything in there. I'm thinking this is a root chakra issue, if I'm guessing right.
You are. Good job.
Or if you see anything medically going on, that would be great to know too. Thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Wonderful. One of the things that can lower iron is coffee. Like, even though I occasionally have a decaf Americano, and please, if anybody drinks coffee who listens to this podcast, only buy organic. Coffee beans are one of the most pesticide sprayed, food source, even though that's not a true food, that we have in the world. So always buy organic coffee beans, always. Let it say organic. Mine says decaf organic. I use freeze-dried coffee. So it's obviously not the best, but I don't drink very much of it. And of course, when you're out and about, try to purchase it from a coffee shop that uses only organic coffee, because we already get too much pesticide, herbicides inside our food. Even people who buy a lot of organic food, if you eat out, you're still going to get herbicides and pesticides, unless, of course, they're using organic products, which are more expensive. So most restaurants don't. Some do, but most don't. And those who do will write it on the menu: organic, free range chicken. They'll write it on there so that you can pay a little bit more for it. So that could really help. Stop drinking coffee to see if this absorption level can occur. I would love for you to start to have your hormones checked. When hormones start to change, and they can start to change in our 30s, we have all kinds of interesting side effects from it, because hormones are these tiny messengers that talk to every cell, every organism in your body. Your whole physiological situation is related to your hormones, believe it or not, their function or lack of function. But yes, this is the first chakra issue. This is about your relationship to your family. And I happen to have a family member who gets low iron. And so it's going to be first chakra. And I've been seeing this family member as you've been speaking. And I know this family member can be disappointed in some of her close relations. And just like I said to the caller before, the sister said to her sister from Australia, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. People are going to make mistakes. They may never apologize. You may be annoyed with certain people, or you may want them to behave in a certain way. And if you have any of that going on, I think it would be great if you could start to see your family members as souls, because they look really cool. When you think of someone, even if you're not related to them, who's annoying you or bothering you, if you think of them as a soul, you start to see some of their impressive qualities and even why they've been placed, to be a part of your life or a part of Earth right now. It could be incredibly freeing. And that's what your body wants, is to be freed so you can have free flowing iron in your blood. Excuse me. That's what your doctors want, is to have a higher concentration of free flowing iron. So try to find ways to appreciate the people you're disappointed with, especially those that are related to you, so that you can allow yourself to have more free flowing iron. But in the meantime, yay, we have something that's healthy. It's from your natural path. It allows you to have healthy iron in your blood so that we don't have other things going awry. Because think of all the things in the blood. So there's tons of different properties in the blood. That's what they call them, as properties or factors. Like even to be Rh positive or Rh negative is a factor, but there's many more factors in the blood besides those, like iron levels, many things. And they kind of are like layered in your blood, like a sandwich in a way, free floating in your veins and your arteries. And so when one of them or more starts to dissipate or gets too high in its numbers, like when platelets are too high or white blood cells are too high or things like that, it causes problems with the other factors in the blood. Also causes problems potentially with tissue. Not that iron would necessarily create a lot of issues since it was caught and you've been cared for. But if you can see your family members as souls, maybe we can get your iron levels to maintain even without the healthy medication. But if not, you've got the healthy medication. So there is just a tiny little hole, which is creating a leak in your first chakra. The first chakra is actually a good color. It's a good spin. It's good position. It's good size. And there's a little leak on the right-hand side of your body. So this is probably related to male family members because the right-hand side of the body is masculine. So look at siblings that are male, your dad, uncles, grandfather. Yeah. And see if you can see their soul and not be so disappointed with their humanness, if you possibly can. That would be great. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Laila, and I am calling from Phoenix, Arizona, but I am from Ohio. I was hoping to get a mediumship reading done, please. I have my mom's cousin who died like a couple years ago. And I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I feel some type of connection with him now that he's on the other side, which is very strange because he lived far away and I really had zero contact with him while he was alive. So I don't know if I'm imagining that or if that's like a genuine presence there on the other side that's attempting to
it is
make contact with me. Additionally, I have a sister who died when I was very young under very strange circumstances.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if she might be there with any messages for me. Also, I am estranged from my father and his whole side of the family. He is from the Middle East, and so we've been estranged because of religious differences, unfortunately. So I don't even know if he's alive.
He is. He's alive.
But also I feel just completely estranged from that whole half of that side of my family. So I was wondering if maybe it's possible that anyone from that side of my family who has passed on has been present with me or has any messages. Anyways, thank you so much for all that you do. I have learned so much from your podcast and I just really enjoy your presence and I'm so grateful and appreciative for all that you do. Thank you so much. Sending love.
You're very welcome, Laila. Yeah, your mom's cousin is reaching out to you. He's kind of scanned the family, and there isn't a lot of family members who can communicate to the multisensory world. He knows that you can feel him, that you sense his presence, and he does want to get a message, whether it's to your mom or his mom or someone in the family close to him, if his mother's living, or a sibling of his that's living, that he's okay. Because a lot of his family was very worried about him for a long period of time. And then he passed, of course. And that worry sometimes takes a while for it to go away. And a lot of people don't understand that people who've crossed over are in a very good frequency and vibration. The majority of individuals are. And they don't know that everyone's okay when they cross over. So he's trying to get you information so you could tell the family that he's okay. That's what he wants. And he knows you're his only source. That's why someone that we may not have known very well will come to you because they know you can sense them. You could get the information, you could pass it on, where there's a lot of people who don't allow themselves to be in that divine high frequency, so they can't sense a departed loved one, and so they can't relay messages. And people on the other side are not going to waste their time trying to connect with someone who has maybe many years to learn how to be in that receptive place. So he knows that. Your sister is so interesting. The first thing she said to me is people can die in precarious ways. So she must have had some weird accident, and it doesn't have to be like a car accident. It could be any form of accidental situation occurred to her. So she doesn't think the way she died was weird. She doesn't feel that way, even though she knows everybody else does. She says her family kind of likes that spooky energy. Like, what happened? What's going on? But she doesn't think of her death as odd. And I think probably because she's on the other side. And so she's surrounded by so many people who've left their bodies. And when you're around a lot of people that have left their physical form, you're witnessing a whole bunch of different ways that it could happen, because it really could happen just like that to anyone in the weirdest and oddest circumstances. When the soul is ready to go, they find the best out in that moment for them to cross over. So she doesn't think it's weird. And your other question was, I'm sorry about the estrangement. I truly am. Religion is just, for the world overall, if we were to look at it from a collective consciousness, it's just not healthy. All wars, I believe, have been started because of religion. It's really sad. It's very terrible. And yet, places like churches can be very sacred. When I was in Cork, my friend Julie and I we walked from our hotel. We were going to go to the downtown area of Cork, and we passed this cathedral. So it was a Protestant church built like in the 1700s. And they were just closing their doors. So it was close to evening. They were closing their doors, but they allowed people to tour this stunning cathedral. And so we came back the next morning because it was just a few blocks from our hotel. It was so stunning. It was so beautiful. And one of the individuals who helped care for this church talked to us about some of the unique qualities of the architect and the stained glass that was so incredibly vibrant. And I'd asked them if they had touched up the glass since its initial conception. He said, no, the architect had fluids injected into the paint so that it would stay in its brilliance. Yeah, incredible. But the energy in this church was so beautiful. It was stunning. We probably spent like an hour and a half in it. And I only like churches when they're empty. So I don't like it when there's a priest preaching, because, sin is not a real thing. That's a man-made phenomenon, as are many things about religion, regardless of the religion. So even though it sounds like from your perspective, there's a religious reason why you aren't connecting with your family of origin, perhaps whenever an opportunity occurs, if one does, and I do think your father's alive, by the way, don't talk about religion. Please don't. That's one of the things I appreciate about my children's father, because we come from different religious backgrounds. He is Muslim. I was baptized Catholic. But we also decided to let our children choose what they wanted to believe in. And we didn't preach either religion towards them, or, we didn't do that at all. And I'm just so glad we didn't, because I wanted our kids to choose their own individualization. And none of them have chosen any form of organizational religion. And I think that's a good thing too. So if you get the opportunity to connect with your dad or his family, which I hope you do, just don't talk about it. Don't talk about religion. Don't bring it up. And I'm not saying that you do. He might. And change the subject, or just say something, that's lovely. I'm glad you had a great time at the mosque or praying, or, whatever the circumstances are. But try not to feed into this belief that we all need to be religious, which is not that uncommon in the South in the United States, even the Midwest. The first question people would ask me when I would visit my daughter when she lived in Oklahoma is, what church do you go to? I don't go to church. It's the very first question they would ask, which, again, it's important for certain cultures in certain parts of the world, even certain parts of the US. But I think there's an opportunity for some companionship with that side of your family. Not that you have to work hard to make that happen, but I think there's going to be some opportunities, and I hope you get to choose them. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the show today. Make sure you visit energyintuitive.com. I've got classes coming up in the fall. And of course, at some point, we will put up the retreat for next year. We're deciding where to go, what hotels that we're looking at, or we might go back to Ireland because it was amazing. But we're looking around the world. And thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.